Right here on the MagicBrad show. I made a mistake. I apologize. That's not my name right there. That's our guest's name. And I'm trying to get Facebook popped up with some crazy weird thing on here. I couldn't figure out what it was, and it did not go live on Facebook. So I'm going to have to readjust that. This is MagicBrad. I'm going to go get Leanne. She can probably help me with some of this technological stuff. This is really bizarre. It says that it's going to delete it. So I'm not going to be going live. I'm still live on LinkedIn and YouTube. Let me go get my friend Leanne.
Hello.
Hi again. I am so sorry. We have to do this again to catch up.
We've had a wonderful conversation. Let's just do it over.
We did have that conversation. We will do it again. So it's live on LinkedIn and it's on YouTube, but it's chopped up. And then for some reason, it's not going live on Facebook. And I think I mentioned that Facebook. Sometimes it's very frustrating. Anyways, welcome to the MagicBrad show.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm going to ask some of those same questions over because what you gave us was very interesting. The whole concept of personal brand and all that stuff. And I'm still a little bummed out that it's not on Facebook because it's on the Accelerated Global Connections group. And that may be why it didn't work or something. I'm not sure. But anyways, I will recap. We talked to you about, you used to live in St. Paul. Now you live in Savage, Minnesota. So you're still in Minnesota.
Making me a savage lion.
That's right, because your name is Leanne Lyon.
Right.
Is that your real name?
Yeah. Well, it's my real married name, yes.
Wow. Lyon. I used to have a magician friend, Joe Lyon, but that wasn't his real name. But it was spelled like that, Lyon.
Interesting.
It is interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the whole real estate world. I've always been fascinated by real estate. Not always, but since I was a little kid, I used to go to the bars. I don't drink anymore, but I would see these people in there buying rounds for everybody. And they were in the real estate business and they were making lots of money. And you wonder, well, how are they making all that money when I'm sitting here working for the county, cutting down trees? So I've always been interested in the real estate world because it seems like everybody has a house or an apartment. It's a secure thing, right?
Well, like you said earlier, is Maslow's hierarchy of needs really says, you need shelter. People will seek after food and shelter pretty much before anything else. And to do and live your best life, generally you want to know that you're secure with those two things first.
Yeah. Now you're with the EXP agency, right? Yeah, exactly. And they recently just came out, and they've kind of done this kind of thing.
Really much,
they're kind of hockey sticked because it's like what happened with this pandemic situation. Some people didn't innovate, and some people did. Like Zoom, they just took off because all of a sudden people realized that that you can talk to people on the internet, and it took off. So that's kind of what's happening with EXP. It's a good agency and group to be involved with. And you had said that they're in multiple countries now?
Yeah. Right now we're in 19 and we're adding 2 more by the end of March. So we'll be in New Zealand by the end of March. I know we're already in pretty much all the English-speaking countries in the world where English is a first language. So Australia, Canada, England, the United States. But lots of other places too. Hong Kong and other interesting places. What's that?
Philippines?
I have to check that one. I haven't memorized the list yet, but I am intent on growing a global team of professional real estate people that are really dedicated to pouring generosity back into wherever my team is. So I can have team members in all 50 states and in all of these countries, and we can all be together helping and digging into our communities. I have a real passion for what we can do as real estate professionals.
Well, I like the way that you operate because I've always been kind of a lazy marketer. When I was doing magic full time, I just realized that if I filled a room full of event planners, I'd have a great list and I could do a lot of gigs. So the idea of understanding that the internet is a global thing and the ability to give referrals where it's not like, it would be hard for someone to, if they lived in like Singapore, to sell a house here in the Twin Cities. Because you got
pretty much impossible.
Yeah. But you can do a referral.
Yes. Referrals are strong.
There's people in this in the Singapore area that might know somebody here in the Twin Cities, so you
Likely.
can easily do referrals. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yep.
And you're taking advantage of that, which is very wise. Some people, with some of those like networking organizations and stuff, they don't realize you're supposed to go into the second circle, the second tier, and
Right.
refer. They're just
Mm-hmm.
trying to do business back and forth. And it's kind of like,
Yep.
I already have a house. I really don't need to talk to you. Yeah, well,
Right.
who do you know? Oh, yeah. Well, Steve, him and his wife are getting a house. It could turn out.
Mm-hmm.
People don't think of that for some reason. They don't think on the other side of the box.
Well, and that's exactly what network marketing groups should be thinking about, because if you and I were in a group together, you're only going to sell your house on average once every 6 years, but plenty of people in that 6-year time frame that may be buying or selling a house. Those are the referrals that are much more valuable than your one referral every 6 years.
That was interesting. You use that term network marketing, that a lot of people start thinking of that pyramid kind of thing, when really all networking is that
Working.
network
Yeah.
of people.
Yes.
It's not that kind of thing. That drives me crazy when people are, that's a pyramid scam.
Oh, I have a whole blog post about that on my website. If you dig into it, if you go onto my blog on my
Speaking of
Joyminder
which, is that
website,
accessible
there you
here
go.
at
Minder.
joy-minder.com?
Yeah. It's your reminder that you're supposed to have joy in being an entrepreneur. So whatever entrepreneurship has led you to where you're at, how can it be easier? Joyminder was founded on the idea of making marketing easier, making side gigs easier, and everything else that we can do. Prospecting.
Is that
Yes.
where it comes to? Is it like minding someone's joy, or is it reminding someone that they should be joyful?
Remind. Definitely. Joyminder is your reminder to have joy in what you're doing, because entrepreneurship, let's be honest, is really hard some
It can be.
days,
It can be.
but it's also full of freedom. Like right now, I'm sitting in my home office. To my left, I have snow falling and I have a beautiful landscape. Deer visit me once in a while. To my right, I can see out the front window, and if my neighbors and I want to have a coffee out in the middle of the cul-de-sac, we can. It's nice to have that freedom, um, but it comes at a price. And
Well,
sometimes we do
let's
so
chat
much.
about that a little bit. I've not really ever experienced entrepreneurship to be hard. I haven't really. It can get boring because you're by yourself sometimes, But I don't think it's hard if you. It's like a combination lock, you over to the left, to the left pops open if you know the numbers.
Mhm.
So
Right.
part of what you're talking about here, as far as branding yourself and the
Mhm.
referral business, if you put your seeds in the fertile garden and you're out looking for people that are looking to buy a house, say they're getting
Mhm.
married. Usually when people get married, they live in an
Mhm.
apartment for a little while, then they buy a house. So there's fertile soil right there to find those people. Then it's about developing that relationship of know, like, and trust and respect, so that when people say, I wonder who I should use. Should I use Steve? No, use that lion lady. It's so
Please.
nice. And then you got that relationship, and then the fruit will fall off the vine. So I think
Mhm.
where people run into the struggle of entrepreneurship is they're running around going, want to buy a house, 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 want to buy a house. And they go, oh my God, nobody wants to buy a house. That's because you didn't plant your seed in a fertile garden.
Yes. And I think sometimes we just get distracted. There is so much out there. There's Facebook, there's TikTok, there's this, there's that, there's Twitter. Now what do you do? And so what I was starting to say earlier is know yourself. Find out who you are and match your strengths to your best opportunities.
Right.
I did this recently. I did what's called a SWOT analysis. Have you ever done one? Are you familiar with the term?
I think I have, yeah. I can't
Yes,
remember.
a SWOT, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You do it for yourself. And then you ask a few of trusted people, maybe people who know you really, really well, to say, hey, look, try to take an objective look at me. Tell me what my strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats are. Then you combine them all together and really look at your strengths, pair them with your opportunities. So I've done that. As a result, I actually got rid of a whole bunch of marketing stuff that I was wasting my time on. And that was the
Right.
hard part, like not getting the results.
I
And
see.
I'm turning it a lot more towards my YouTube channel. So you can access my YouTube channel through my website as well. And it's focused on helping real estate professionals globally to market their businesses wherever they are, doing whatever they do. And it doesn't have to be just realtors, but insurance or anybody related to real estate, or entrepreneurs in general can also use the same system. But it makes it easy.
Yeah, see, that's an interesting point there, in that if a person's doing what they do,
Mhm.
it's much easier for them. Rather, like when I was young doing magic, I was trying to position myself as a more sophisticated performer. So I used my whole name, Bradley Arthur Goodham. I did it in a scripty font. That ain't me, dude. So it just doesn't work. And then another example, like some people say, well, I don't want to do a YouTube channel because I don't want to show my face. I'm kind of shy. Well, put a sock on your hand, put a couple buttons on there, and create a sock puppet. Step out of the side and go, hi, you want to make some money doing real estate? You can do that. You could create a little sock puppet training thing.
Absolutely.
So if you just do what you got to do, yeah. That's
And when I did my strengths, I'm like, hey, I like to be on camera. I think I look all right. I can speak well. So why wouldn't I? And I love to train. I was a teacher for 5 years. I
a
know
big
how to
plus
do
there.
this.
That's a big
And
plus there.
yeah. And YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. I've used it in real estate. I had a client who had a lock on her door. We're on closing, the night before closing. She's like, how do I get this off my door? She knew how to get the key out of the lock, but she didn't know how to get the key thing out. So we went on YouTube, found a video on how to do it, and 2 minutes later, the lock was off the door.
Yep.
Those videos stay forever.
Right. And you can repurpose them and put them out in other places. So
Absolutely.
YouTube's a good channel. So that's a good little tip right there for anybody that's in real estate. What about the people that are thinking about real estate because they like the idea, but like I said, the stereotype of real estate agents is you got to be, rich looking and be a social butterfly and talk to everybody and hand out cards everywhere. What about someone that doesn't have those? They're kind of like more of a recluse, but they want to get into real estate and make a bunch of money, so they're kind of hiding. What kind of tips you got for someone like that wants to do it but doesn't think that they fit?
I think it is a relationship business. It's a referral business primarily. Once again, you only sell your house on average once every 6 years, but the people you know. So you are asking for referrals. That is what we do. I do have a prospecting tool that I use that does help me find tries to keep me out of the NFFL club. Somebody said they thought I was stuttering when I said that. But NFFL is the No Friends and Family Left Club.
Right.
And that's what happens.
Exactly.
Right. And that's what happens when you're always, buy me. Are you ready to sell? You ready to sell? You ready to sell? You don't want to be that person.
Nope.
But you can generate you can build relationships with people. You can meet people. For instance, hey, I just recently empty nested. Love it. I love my children, but they are beautifully on their own, doing their own thing now. And I downsized this past year. That's why I'm now a Savage Lion. However, I would like to do the same thing for other people. So people who are downsizing that have things in common with me. We've raised our children. We're at this age. We were teenagers in the 80s, whatever. You want to meet people that are like you. And guess what? There's millions of them out there. It's just a matter of meeting them. And this tool helps with that quite a bit.
And getting aligned with all that stuff. And I'm assuming that people can learn about that tool by contacting you on your website there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's right at the top. It's easy to see.
There's a dash right there. A lot of people sometimes might say Joy-Minder.
Right. Joy-Minder. Absolutely.
Very cool. We've only gone for about 15 minutes. I try and keep these kind of tight. So is there some things that you could share that because there's different kinds of people. You're with an agency and you're looking to grow that agency. You kind of build your own agency, right?
Yep.
So somebody that wants to get involved with real estate, or maybe if you could share a little bit about a first-time home buyer. What do they do? It's scary. A lot of paper.
It's a lot of paper. It really is. And that's why some people say, well, why do I need a real estate agent? They take so much of the money. But, we also go through a lot of training. We have ongoing training that we have to keep up with. Oh, and by the way, there's these things called rules and regulations that are always changing, and you
Right.
really need to keep up on them. I think before we were recording, we talked about the fact that you cannot give, so this is a rule, and talking about the referral fees and so forth. If an agent in California knows somebody wants to buy in Minnesota, he can connect with me and I will actually pay him a referral fee. But if he tries to connect with you in Minnesota and say, hey, you could sell this, it doesn't work that way. You have to both be in real estate
Right.
because of the professionalism and all the things that we have to know and do. What's interesting is that states can be wildly different. To get your license in Texas, you have to go through 30 to 60 hours more time than Minnesota, and Minnesota already is at 90 hours to get their license.
What are they
So,
doing to keep there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to create some kind of fake regulation certification thing and try and get around that stuff. What are they doing to prevent that kind of stuff? And what would you suggest that people do to make sure they don't get caught in that trap?
well, we are all licensed in Minnesota through the department, the state department of something. I should know that, I suppose. They hold my license.
Minnesota Real Estate Association, probably.
It's not actually. It
Not?
is through the department. It's through the department of. There's a licensing department over in St. Paul. Now, I'm also a realtor, which is different than just being a real estate salesperson.
Oh,
So, as a realtor, then, I've gone through additional training. I have a higher level of standard that I'm expected to keep and offer service to my clients. I'm also, so there's a whole bunch of things in that as well. As far as so you can check on somebody's license. If somebody says they're a licensed real estate agent, you can look that up on the Minnesota state website and make sure
okay.
that they are. And that is important, really important.
So it's open public knowledge.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good to know, because there is a lot of that stuff out there for sure.
Sadly. And it's sadly, going back to shelter and food being some of our biggest things, but anytime you're dealing with large amounts of money, you kind of compared real estate agents to used car salesmen. Well, again, it's a large amount of money, and that sometimes means that we end up on the lower trust scale. I mean,
Yeah.
where do you put lawyers? They make a lot of money too,
Mhm.
And that's one of my goals, is to help raise up and find people aligned with me to giving back to our communities. Because when we're blessed enough to make good incomes, you were talking about the first time home buyers and people who are like, well, why should we pay a realtor so much? We have a lot of knowledge. We do a lot of studying. We take good care. And by the way, we often front a lot of money to help your house get sold. We have access to tools that you just plain don't if you don't have a real estate agent working with you. But yeah, we do make good incomes. If we're successful, we're often in the 6, even 7-figure income sometimes. So what does that mean, and how can we turn that for the good? And so my goal is to find other realtors aligned with me that want to say, yeah, when we do well, we help other people do well. We pour back into, whether it's our churches, our synagogues, our local community. We hire other local professionals. When I have my house cleaned, it's not somebody in Florida that comes and does it. It's somebody very local to my city, right? And guess what? She loves to clean. I don't.
Well, there you go, and that says a lot right there. Find somebody that actually likes what they're doing. That'll work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I think that's really important, that you might have some, like I mentioned, the combination lock thing. You might know the digit, and if I don't, because it could be a real bummer. You go and you buy your own house, and then you find out, oh my God, I forgot to do this.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
Yeah, it can be a really big problem. And there's new rules all the time. In fact, right now, people selling condos have a, excuse me one second. Can you hear that?
Nope.
Okay, good. I have something coming in, a call coming in, I'll ignore it. But so when people, what was I saying? Oh, the locks. Yeah, so there's a new thing with condos right now that a new regulation just came into play just a few weeks ago, but it basically stalled all condo sales temporarily. And,
Wow.
it's getting worked through, but if you were trying to do it on your own, you might not have known. And it could be a much bigger mess if you weren't working with a professional.
I think it's important to outsource.
Yeah. Yeah, and
to,
we
to
were kind of
somebody.
talking about branding too. How do you brand yourself? How do you set yourself apart? A lot of realtors I think, make the mistake of not having their own website. Like, it's one thing, you actually had another one, you could put it up if you want. It's my EXP website, and
Oh,
that's
sure.
fine. But the only thing you'll see when you go there is a little tiny picture of me in the big picture of the EXP world.
Right.
On the flip side, why not have a very branded website? Well, that's expensive. That's expensive. Not really. You find the right tool like the ones that I use, and I have
Oh,
it on
I was
Job
just
Finder.
going to say, yeah, you use one that I used to use as well. So if
Yep,
someone's looking for a
exactly.
website, you can hook them up with that.
Yep, and they can even copy mine, and they can have theirs up and going by the end of the day. It's
Just got
really
to
easy.
change the name.
Just change the name. Well, I don't personally, if they want to use my name, that's fine, but they probably want to change the name.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today. I apologize for the faux pas that I did there, but we've gone for about 20 minutes, looks like. But we can do
Yeah,
another one.
excellent.
Maybe focus.
I would love to.
I'll pop you back in the green room, and like I usually say, there's some digital hors d'oeuvres and some pastries in there for the very
Oh,
locale.
excellent. Thank you.
Okie dokie. Thank you,
All
Lena.
right. Thank you so much. Nice to see you.
Well, hokey smoky, that's kind of a bummer. So the beginning of this, it was all fun and dramatic, and then I screwed up somehow. I don't know if I screwed up or if Facebook screwed up, but anyways, this is how you get a hold of her. Joy dash, there's a little dash right there. See that dash? Mind her. That's how you get a hold of her, and you can learn a wealth of knowledge in the real estate industry and marketing beyond. She's got a lot of stuff going on. It's very cool. So that's all I got for now. Peace, love, and happiness. MagicBrad signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be good, be kind, be nice. Be nice. Did I say be nice? Be nice. See ya.